What up, Richard Timmers here. Now, I just talked about my top 10 worst movies of the year. Now, here's a different list of my top 10 most disappointing films. Films I was actually interested in or, thought the premise looked cool, looked and sounded cool, and the trails decent, only to become very disappointed by them. So, now, of course, this is very different from my worst of the year list. There are some movies that actually is in my disappointing list. There are actually films here that is in my worst list. So there's that. But here is my official top 10 list. All right, number 10. I'm gonna go with Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Now I was actually really intrigued to check this one out because one is based on Stephen King. But I was interested. At following success and awesome horror film that was a Black Phone. I was interested in seeing another horror film involving a phone call, and you had Jaden Martell, who I thought was really good in the It movies. You had Don Sullivan, who's obviously a living legend there. So I was intrigued to check this one out. I checked it out on Netflix, only to be disappointed. This just was not all that scary. It just was not all that, stacked up to be. I mean, now the Black Phone is actually not based on a book by Stephen King. It's actually based on a book by Stephen King's son. I'm like, who would ever expect that a film based on a book by Stephen King's son will be better than a film based on a book by Stephen King himself? Who would ever expect that? But that's where we're at here, and yeah, this was just not so great at all. All right, number nine, The Invitation. Now I did not really have too much high hopes, but I thought the trailer for this thing actually looked really decent, but it was just not so great. I was hoping. I got a little more disappointed when was announced that this would be PG-13. But I was like, okay, maybe there are some good PG-13 horror films. Maybe this will be another Happy Death Day or something. It just wasn't. It was just not all that scary, not all that racket to me. The acting is terrible. I mean, I like the actress in Natalie Meadow. I like her on Game of Thrones. I liked her in the Fast and Furious movies, but here she was not. I mean, I'm thinking that this movie kind of shows that she's not really ready to be the lead yet because those are more like supporting players. But this was like I believe, one of her first major big leads in a motion picture. But yeah, this was not all that great. All right, number eight is a film I was really looking forward to ever since 2020, and I did not really do my review for this. I sort of forgot to do it, but I will say right now that is Run Sweetheart Run. I mean, I really quite like the lead actress here, Ella Balinska. I quite liked her in Charlie's Angels and the recent Resident Evil series, but here just was not all that great. I did quite like the cast involved. You had Clark Gregg, who I like, the guy from Game of Thrones, another actor from Game of Thrones on my list. But yeah, this just was not all that great at all. It was plain terrible. Did not even make sense. I'm like, what what am I watching? So yeah, run so hard run. I'll say just run from this film fast as you can. But yeah. Anyway, number seven is a comedy I was really excited for because I love Kevin Hart, I love Woody Harrelson, but number seven is The Man for Toronto. Now I didn't mind Kevin Hart's other Netflix movie, Meantime. I know lots of people probably have that on their list as well, but The Man for Toronto, I was so intrigued by it. You have the director of The Hitman's Bodyguards attached. You got Woody Harrelson and Kevin Hart both attached to this. Now, of course, this was supposed to be a Kevin Hart and Jason Statham vehicle, but Jason Statham, I guess, dropped out because he didn't think the script sounded good, and he was right. This was just not a great film at all. It was not all that funny. I mean, Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson had decent enough chemistry, but yeah, this just wasn't all that great of a film, so can't really recommend this one at all. All right, number six, I'm gonna go. I know lots of people probably be a little disappointed me adding this on my list. Number six is George Miller's 3,000 Years of Longing. Now, I love George Miller, of course, with the Mad Max movies, Happy Feet, and everything. He's a really terrific director, so I was so excited to check out his next film. I was completely disappointed by this one. I mean, Idris Elba did the best he can, but this just was not all that great. It was not all that decent. The performance by Elba and Swin is probably the only thing that really stuck this movie together. But yeah, to me, this every good director has a bad day in the office. Steven Spielberg had The Terminal, uh, Christopher Nolan had Tenet. To me, this is probably George Miller's Bad Day in the Office. I'm hoping Furiosa is better, but we'll see. All right, number five. Now, this one isn't my worst of the year list, along with The Invitation, and that is Deep Water. I mean, director Adrian Lyne, who gave us like Fair Attraction, 9.5 weeks. I was interested in seeing a new erotic movie from him because he had not done a film since Unfaithful, and of course, we had not had the great we haven't really. It's been a while since we had a good erotic based movie that stuck out like those. The 50 Shades movies were busts. 355 Days movies weren't great. The After movies just wasn't there. So I was like, okay, let the director Fair Traction show you how it's done. Well, I mean, this is a movie that has maybe two of my favorite actors in the business, Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas. They both could not even say this thing. I mean, it was a script written by Tracy Letts, who of course did the script for Killer Joe, which I enjoyed. You had Jacob Elordi, from Euphoria fame was in this. You had some good cast members, like Lil Ella Howe was in this, but this thing just was not like all that erotic as you expect. The performance, the performances was a bust. I mean, this movie just was abysmal. It was so horrible. This movie and 365 Days makes the 50 Shades movies look like Oscar winners. But yeah. All right, number four, I'm gonna go with Firestarter, another film based on Stephen King novel, by the way, and of course a remake of the Drew Barrymore film as well. This was just not a good film at all. I mean, I was so interested in this. I thought the trailer was decent. Zach Efron, of course, is one of my favorite actors in the business. I think he's always terrific. But yeah, this just was not all that great. It was definitely not as good as the original, which I wouldn't mind if it was or anything like that. But yeah, it was not all that rack up to be. I mean, of course, you knew something was wrong when they also sold the thing to Peacock, but still, uh, that aside, yeah, it's not a great film at all. I cannot really recommend this one, nonetheless. I mean, the only redeeming quality about this one is when who played the little girl. I thought she actually maybe was a better part of the film, but that aside, wasn't so good at all. All right, number three, another film that's in my worst of the year list, and that is Don't Worry, Darling. I was really excited for this thing. I thought the trailer looked decent. I love Olivia Wilde's directorial debut, which was, of course, Booksmart. I thought Booksmart was great, but this was terrible. I mean, what was she thinking is beyond me. I love Olivia Wilde, but seriously, of course, with the whole drama surrounding us between her and Harry Styles, of course, the whole on-set feud here. I mean, yeah, to be honest, this movie was so bad. I think even Florence Pugh didn't want to see this. I mean, yeah, and I love Florence Pugh, by the way, but yeah, this was not a good one at all. All right. Coming in at number two, I'm gonna go with Amsterdam. Now, I was really intrigued as well. This was literally my anticipated films of the year. I love the cast. Director David Russell coming back. You got Christian Bale, Robert De Niro, Mike Myers, Anna Taylor Joy, Margot Robbie. Some great cast members I enjoy. I had no idea what the heck was going on with this film. I mean, I thought it was just so terrible, so blandly boring. It's just, yeah, having a cast like this, you'll expect your movie should be maybe an Oscar winner, maybe an Oscar nominee, or like an Oscar bait film, but it was none of that. This thing is just, it was just a terrible film, and definitely a film I cannot recommend at all. So, yeah, a really plain, horrible film, and also showcase, once again, showcase that Taylor Swift is not really ready to act and stuff. So, yeah. All right. My number one most disappointing film of the year is one that is, of course, one of my favorite franchises there, and that is Jurassic World Dominion. I was so pumped for this. Seeing like the three trio back together, with like the new trio, I thought with some of the new generation, I thought looked was going to be cool. I really love the Jurassic Park films. Even Part Three, I really enjoyed. But Jurassic World Dominion takes the cake as too disappointing. I mean, it was the most boring out of the franchise. How do you make a film about dinosaurs attacking people boring? Yeah, it's just such a really lame bad one. It's just so like so generic. It's did not really do much for me. I mean, I would be down to see like a whole new reboot and everything, but yeah, this sort of turned me off a little bit here with the Jurassic Park, with a new Jurassic Park. But maybe like they'll go back to the basics. Who knows? But yeah, I just was not a fan of this one. I mean, I don't think it was like completely terrible. It just did not really do as much as the other films in the franchise. But yeah, but that's pretty much it there. Here's my quick rundown. All right, 10, Mr. Harrigan's Phone, 9, The Imitation, 8, Run, Sweetheart Run, 7, Men for Toronto, 6, 3,000 Years of Logging, 5, Deep Water, 4, Firestarter, 3, Don't Worry, Darling, 2, Amsterdam, and number 1 is Jurassic World Dominion. Now, there's some other ones. Like, I was actually interested in 355. Let me see what else we got here. Oh, that game, that Game of Death film with Asa Butterfield. That I was actually interested in. That was pretty much terrible. But yeah, there's some other ones I probably could have added too. Let's see. I was actually interested in the monsters, but that was not so great. So yeah, I got some interesting disappointing films here. But let me let you guys. What are some of your most disappointing movies of the year? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Simon signing off.